Hello, hello. Hello, hello. As you all come in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that heart or send me a bit. I appreciate it all. If you want to support the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that like button and also please subscribe. Also support the channel by commenting. It helps me with my engagement. I appreciate it. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Listen, first of all, I'm from a whole different computer, so the visual is looking kind of crazy, but that's all right. We here. We are here. But you all just don't understand how I am so happy that the testimony from Jane Doe is over with. I tapped out after the third day. I think it was the third or fourth day. I tapped out. And I was just going to do recaps. And then as I was listening to reading the testimony stuff, everything seems repetitive. There was a few gotcha moments, but everything seems repetitive. And I was tired of seeing that woman. Can't tell you. I think the prosecution and I think the defense got what they needed out of her. It's just a matter of which, again, these are combatants, and it's just a matter of who we think won over the jury. Now, I do want to go over before we start getting into the testimony, and I will tell you, I will be going back and forth between Inner City Press, NBC, NBC, and CNN. I have CNN on my phone. There we go. Yeah, I have CNN. Now, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I want to go over what went on a couple of days. Now, I did allude to one of my videos that they are talking about unseating a juror. Now, what that juror did, I can't tell you. I don't have the capacity to tell you what happened, but they have been talking about it for the past couple of days. Now, according to the defense, they just feel like because it's the prosecution that wants to unseat this juror, and they have their reasonings. They're really not clear. This juror has done something or said something. I know the first time I initially heard it, they were talking about how animated this jury was, how this juror has made kind of eye contact with Sean Combs, and it appears that she's locked in. He or she is locked into him. Uh, then they started talking about that they felt like the person wasn't a truthful in the voir dire moment. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but they are trying to. The defense is saying that the prosecution is trying to set it up so that they can win. And so if they find any juror, or if they tune in that any juror has leanings towards Diddy at this point of the game, they want to be able to remove that juror and put somebody else on there. I would say this, unless they can show that the juror was out doing interviews, unless they can show that that the juror was doing interviews, that the juror was speaking and doing their own investigation, unless they can show all those things, to me, all of this being upset about animation and how the juror is moving and all that other stuff, I think that those things, in my opinion, those are just par for the course. You're in a trial. People are human, and you're going to see some reactions from the jurors. And to try to make these jurors seem stone-faced is craziness to me. It's craziness to me. So I say unless the prosecution can prove any of those things, then definitely. Hey, happy Friday. If the prosecution can prove any of those things, then go ahead. But if it's just because the person made eye contact with Diddy or any old things like that, I'm sorry. That's just silliness to me. But like I said, if the juror has been caught doing an interview, if the juror has been caught talking about the case to somebody, if it's any of those egregious things, then yes. But just because they made some eye contact or the juror is very animated and all this other stuff, I think that a judge's rebuke is good enough. So again, I have been MIA. I checked out because I'm just human, and I I just felt like from what we heard from Cassie and what we heard from Jane Doe, I am hotel night and freak off tapped out. I need for we get it. Now I would tell you because it's been so many because people said that he showed up but he couldn't get in. I think it honestly, I'm not gonna hold you. I think it was an intimidation tactic. I think he was trying to make sure his name wasn't going to be called. I don't think it had anything to do with support. I really don't think it has anything to do with support. I think Diddy had something on Kanye, and Jane Doe just basically said it. She went to a hotel night, or she attended their hotel night uh, at with allegedly with Kanye and his wife during the birthday party. That is what I think happened, and I ain't gonna hold you. Because I need now. Like I said, I think what we have at this point in juncture, because the prosecution says that they're going to be finished with their case on Wednesday. But what I think that the prosecution has to do now, you told us what a freak off was. You've giving us people to cooperate. The freak offs exist. You've shown that participants of the freak off was transported state lines, and that they was received cash money from it. But now you need to show us because you've given us a lot of information. Now you're gonna have to tie it in with the finances. You're gonna have to tie it in with the enterprise, with his company. All these things are gonna have to tie in because at this point, I think we've been given so much information, we don't have enough to be able to tie everything in. Because like I said, have they talked about? Let me put these charges up here real quick. Hold on. So, again, they give us a racketeering conspiracy charge. They give us a trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. They've given us a transportation to engage in the prostitute. I think that again, I believe that they have shown that there was some transportation to engage in the. I believe that they have shown that. I'm a little iffy on the trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. I think with Cassie, the force with because people's like, oh, this is not a DV case. However, he used those beatings to get her to do what he wanted her to do. And people, he used those beatings to get her to do what he wanted her to do. I think that that's by force. But here's the rub that the prosecution has to do. All those charges with Cassie can't be brought in until they have their the testimony from Jane Doe is going to be able to bring in all of that stuff with Cassie. And I don't know if they did that. I don't know they did that. I know that for me, that they have proven that she realized that she had been lowballed when it came to all the other women that he had been being with. that she had been lowballed, meaning in money, and she was doing it more an excessive amount of stuff to get what she was getting. I I believe that he told her things or presented her things and used those freak offs, those hotel nights, to get her to continue with those hotel nights. Now, I will say towards the end of Jane's testimony, when the prosecution put forth those text messages between Diddy and her favorite escort, telling him that he needed to make sure or do whatever he could to get her to attend because he knew that he was the one he was one of the ones that he gravitated to. I'm sorry. I think that they that was a good point to bring out. And like I said, this I don't know if I'm not seeing I'm seeing the arson, but we don't have the connection with the arsonist. I know that he went over there and he trespassed and he was being intimidating with Kid Cudi. But why haven't we spoken to the person? And we may because we're starting anew. Why haven't we spoken to the person that was with him and Capricorn, the driver, the security guard that took him and Capricorn over to Kid Cudi's house? Are we going to hear from Christina Coram? KK? Are we going to hear from KK? Are we going to see money being moved? Money being moved out of accounts. Where was money going? How was these people paid? What account that they were being paid from? Because I know that Diddy carried a lot of cash with him. Where was he getting this cash from? What account was he getting this cash from? Was he getting it from his personal account? Was he getting it from the business account? Where was he getting the cash from to be able to pay these people? And I know we bounce on these technicalities of, oh well, Cassie was the one that arranged everything. Yes. Cassie was the one that gave the money. Yes. Jane said that she gave the money. Yes. She was the one that arranged stuff. Yes. But we also hear that Diddy was paying for a lot of this stuff. So I want to know what account, if the prosecution has the counts, the accounts, or where the accounts was coming from. I definitely want to hear that. I definitely want to be able to see. They need to show me some financial papers because all of this, because it's one thing to give us a lot of this information. It's a totally different thing to make the connections. Because right now, like I said, the prosecution has a puzzle and they have shown us all of these pieces, but they haven't put these pieces together on this puzzle. I mean, there's some things that I can connect, but it's not my job to connect it. It's not my job to figure it out. It's their job to put the puzzle together and for me to look at this puzzle and say, okay, it's a legitimate puzzle. There's no cracks or anything in this puzzle. I need that. I need that at this point. But I will say, I think when we talk about the prosecution, when we talk about the defense, when we talk about these lawyers and how they're doing their job, I will tell you, I am enjoying them. Now, there's a couple of lawyers that I wish would sit down, but overall, I am enjoying how they're putting these pieces for the prosecution. I am enjoying the fact that they are laying out this information. Now, I think where they dropped the biggest ball was with Rihanna, I think that they should have gotten her. They should have gotten her testimony, and they should have uh, squared away this time frame so it would have been clear. I think they should have squared away that time frame. But I do think that them presenting the information, giving us all the information in regards of how this thing operates and all of these different things, I think they've done a good job. I think that the defense has done a good job of poking holes in all of the people that have testified, poking holes in their defense. Again, uh, Westmoreland, she was able to seriously do some damage with that Brianna testimony, and I'm happy to see that they are fighting back. Again, their styles are different. I think Tinny Garagos is very she's like that. So I can't hear her in the courtroom, so I can't testify to her demeanor and her cadence. But as far as what I'm reading, she asks a lot of questions, and some of them may seem very frivolous. But I think she asked these questions and then she re-asked them again. And if the person doesn't answer the same thing, then that's when she attacks. I think Westmoreland just is on the attack anyway. She's gonna come and she's just gonna attack you. Mark Agnafilio, he tries to play he almost seems like he's playing the bumbling idiot, but I think his role is more of making sure that they're coordinating this case. Uh, Brian Steele is Brian Steele. He's a very passionate person. He doesn't mind skirting that line. He will butt up against that line just until he gets an objection. So that's what I'm reading. So let me see. I've seen some of your comments coming. Let me see what's going on. And again, if this case has not opened up, particularly younger people, if this hasn't opened your eyes that going after men with money ain't always going, it's not always going to be a, a Prince Charming type situation. And I'm not telling you not to do what you need to do, but going after men with money, you have to be so secure in who you are. You really have to be secure in who you are. Now I kind of understand and see. Well, you know how when you'd watch TV and they would make match with all these powerhouse people, and then it would be like the woman that matches with them. They know how to move and groove in society. They know how to do parties. They know how to do a wealth of stuff, and that these women have to be very strong in certain things. They have to be uh, very secure in who they are and figure out what they want and how they want it and how they maneuver. There are women that want the money. And so if they want the money, then they're like, you know what? You've got all this stuff going on. I'm just here to make sure that you have a legacy. I'm here to make sure that I'm okay and make sure that my legacy is okay. All that little other stuff, you need to get it under control, and you better not embarrass me. Now, I'm not telling you that's what you're supposed to do, but now I'm starting to understand why. Because see, that's headache. Being them women, and being with the man that has these types of stuff, that's a headache. That's a headache. That's a headache. Kanye he's an attention whore, and that's just how I can just do Kanye. He's an attention whore, and he just I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say about Mr. Kanye. All right, so so they should be around at lunchtime, and we may catch up with them. I think that there were some other things that I wanted to go over before we catch up with them. Give me one moment. Let me just make sure. And y'all, I'm using a different computer, so my learning curve is a little a little stretch. until I can get back to my computer. All right, so there was a bunch of letters that were processed, and I wanted to make sure. What is today? The 13th. So there was a couple of letters going about at the end of Jane Doe's testimony about finding this phone. Not finding the phone. There was another cell phone that Sean Combs used, and I think he was the one that discovered that the feds didn't get that phone. Well, then the feds they had to turn over that phone. He got that phone, and I think that's where they got those text messages between Sean Combs and the escort, and they were arguing that phone and those that information on that phone was privileged because he texted KK saying, "Hey, give me give me Mark's number, give me our lawyer's number, give me my lawyer's number, give me that number 911." And so they were saying that because when he asked for the lawyer, that was supposed to be privileged information, and the judge was like, "No, it's one thing if you were if you were texting your lawyer, but other than that, absolutely positively no." Let's see. All right. So they this letter was about Rihanna's, and they said that it was perjury, that she lied. All right. All right. So I think we're good on all of that. And if you, I'll put this up here. If you all are interested in looking at some of these court documents, uh, you can definitely go here to Court Listener, and you can look at that. Now, sometimes they don't have all of the information, and you'd have to go to Pacer. And Pacer, you have to pay per page, and a lot of that is 10 cents a page, and you got to be very careful in Pacer because things that you think that you're looking at that are not free, that you think are are free, sometimes they're not. And if you go back and you re-click it again and pull those documents up twice, you're paying for them twice. So you got to be careful when you're in Pacers. Like I said, it's 10 cents a page, and just depending on what you're looking at, and once you get to 30 pages of something for I think that day of something, I can't remember what it was, that they won't charge you. However, that's in a document. So if the document is more than 30 pages, they cap you at that. However, if you go back and come back in, you're going to pay, and you'll find yourself racking stuff up. But I would go to courtlistener.com, sign up. It's free, and you can definitely look through the different things. Now, as far as the transcripts, it looks like people are because I haven't hooked up with the people who have the transcripts who are willing to share them. But it looks like the transcript people are getting and of the case. When I went up there to look, if you wanted to get it today, that's like $8 a page. And I know that the lawyers are paying for it because they're on trial. But some of those pages are like 8 or 9 pages. And like if you wanted all of Jane Doe's testimony, I'm quite sure that'll run you in the hundreds of dollars. And I'm not about to pay $100 for that. Again, we'll have to wait because I'm going to do a case autopsy of this case and how everybody was doing. And at that point in time, hopefully people will be more willing to share. And if they do, I'll definitely get those transcripts and definitely be able to go over with you all some of the transcripts and some of the stuff that's going on. All right. I've babbled enough, y'all. I have babbled enough. So let's get into it. That is what you're here for. Now, y'all let me know. Can those people who are looking at the screen, is that too small, or do I need to change? Let me do this. There we go. I think that works better. There. I think that works better. I hope y'all can see that. All right, here we go. Because I'm so used to having different screens, and then I could just look at the different screens, but I only have one screen. And so this is a learning curve for me, y'all. All right, here we go. So let's go. This is Inner City Press. We're going to read the transcripts, and then we're going to go back and forth again to NBC and CNN. So we've got Agnifilio. The government proposed witness for today does not know how the guns were moved and piled in the security room. So let me go over. So they did this raid at Star Island. I think they call it, there's Star 1 and Star 2 because they're two separate homes. They did the raid, and you remember how we saw all the evidence just splayed out on the ground? One of the points of contention with the defense was the fact that they did not take pictures of the stuff where they found it and then put it down. They put it down, and the defense is saying that it's giving the jury the impression that these guns and things were just scattered all over the place and all of these other stuff. And so the defense is saying that this particular witness can't give them clarity on certain things. So let's just read this. The government's proposed witness for today does not know how the guns were moved and piled in the security room. He has no personal knowledge. We can exclude him. Judge, he is not an expert witness. He is a fact witness. So expert means that he has a certain expertise in something that he can do. So like when the computer person came on and was talking about the different things in the computer, when the special agent who came to talk about what he found and stuff like that, he's just letting you know he was there, he saw this, he saw that. Prosecution. When he was at the premises, the guns were found in the security room. They can cross-examine. There is nothing prejudicial. Judge, it's not about prejudice. Mr. Agnifilio is going to object every statement. That's the issue. Agnifilio. Well, defense. I don't want jurors to see me to see me to objecting every time to guns. There is nothing illegal about these guns. Mr. Combs has professional security. Guns were in the safe. This witness is prejudicial. I don't care that they don't know where Astroglide was. Oops. Okay, but these are guns. Let them put on the agent who actually found the guns. This witness should not testify. Prosecution. This is how every law enforcement search is done. The property is secured before the search begins. They can ask judge, Mr. Agnophilia, the defense would stipulate that the guns were there, right? Agnophilia, you're asking for the first time. I know the property well. I've been there many times. The security room has been locked. Judge, can we find the person who did this? Prosecution. And this is Prosecutor Comey. May I step up? This is how Homeland Security investigation does searches. They have a team that goes in to make the area safe. They are not the experts in collecting evidence. Miss Foster can ask about that. I expect he'll say it was made safe. Defense. I'm not seeing how the guns are relevant if they were locked up. Guns are a very divisive issue. And because the only time that guns were ever brought up, as far as in the commission of an act, was when Capricorn Clark said that Diddy and his security team took her by her home by gunpoint. To me, that was the only time that guns were an issue. But that happened. That happened so long ago. I don't know if I'm trying to remember, and y'all help me. I don't know if the prosecution has. Hold on, y'all. Let me go get my little pieces of paper. Hold on. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right. Here I am. Now, I don't think that the only other time that I remember guns were being talked about was when Daniel Phillips, not Daniel Phillips, I'm sorry. When David James talked about guns, when they all ran out of the house, Cassie and David James talked about guns when he was going to try to go beat up Suge Knight. And the only other mention of a gun was with Capricorn Clark when she talked about they forced her at gunpoint to join him to go over to Kid Cudi's house. So let's continue. So are they trying to establish that he has guns? That too. That too. But you can still see that it's a headache dating some, it's a headache. Mm. It takes a certain type of person. You have to understand who you are and what you're willing to put up with. But you're right. Struggle love, loving somebody more, loving somebody and they don't love you. They're not reciprocating, because everybody can't reciprocate the way that you put out. But they should be reciprocating so that your love languages and how you are edified is matched. You should be putting out so that you will edify their love languages, and they should be putting out. That's how you know that you're compatible. You may not be exactly the same, you know, same person, but your love languages, in my opinion, from how you express your love, should be compatible with the love languages that your partner needs. Hey, Buck, I still don't see the RICO from what's been said in the trial. It's money going out, even though they're illegal transactions. And see, that's the whole point. That's basically it. I think and I agree with you on that. I think where we get to the point is there is so much information that the prosecution hadn't put all that information together. They hadn't established. They put on all the different people. They have said and testified, and then you've got people that have corroborated testimony. But now I need to see the financial statements. Now I need to see how they were doing all of these little different things. I need to see how that was working out. I mean, I can't disagree. I think he was pimping them women out. All the women that he needed, he wasn't really trying to be in a relationship with them. He was pimping them out. He needed them for what he needed. But instead of saying that and establishing that, there was that thing about, oh, I'm going to act like I'm in love with you. Because y'all can be mad at me if you want to, but I don't believe that Diddy loves any of these people. I don't know. From what I'm hearing and seeing, the only people that I believe that he is capable of loving are his children, the children that he has. I think he expends a lot of love to his children. And I don't mean no harm when I say that, but I don't think that these women that he's dating, I don't think he loves these women. I think he enjoys what they give him. But the prosecution has to tie all that together. Like I said, they have presented us with all the puzzle pieces, but they have not put that puzzle together yet. Well, that's the thing. It's hey. I that RICO statute, they just have to show it's an enterprise, and they have to show that enterprise was funding whatever this quote unquote illegal activity is. So if they can show that the money from any one of those accounts that the assistants testified to going to get the money, wherever they got the money, they have to show what account that he got that money from. Hey, animals are cute. Well, if you're talking about the things being the pew pews, they went back to the house wherever they were staying and got the pew pews and went back. So yeah. He was. And that's why I just, like I said, he was. I would have seen it better for him to hire the workers, the intimate workers, and sign NDAs with the intimate workers instead of trying to find partners and making them into the ex-workers. But I've said on this stream before, and I'll say it again. You have noticed that there is a pattern with Diddy in regards to the women who he bonds with, particularly some. It's always a woman who is dating a man that is surrounding him. We've seen that pattern with Kim and Kim Porter because she was dating Al B. Sure. We see that pattern with Cassie because I think she was dating Ryan Leslie. We see that pattern with uh, Jane Doe because it's my understanding that Diddy knew her ex-boyfriend. We see that there is a pattern with that. Now there are other women that show up in different places. We even see that with because didn't he at one point date Bow Wow's girlfriend, baby moms? So there's a lot of overlapping things, but I just think it would have been better for him. So I don't know, child. Let's continue. Where are we? The defense. I'm not seeing how the guns are relevant if they were locked up. Guns are a very divisive issue. Judge, the witness can be asked about all of this. That's how we'll proceed. Defense. I had no idea. He had no idea where the guns were found. Defense. I want to know where the guns were found. I don't want to play Russian roulette with guns. This is how Russian roulette is played, by the way. Judge. The agent can testify. Now, as to the juror, why can't we bring the juror out today and get to the bottom what the parties have raised in submission that they have not put in the docket? So whatever it is that this juror is supposed to have done, they definitely hadn't put it out on the docket so we could see it. Agnophilia. This juror is not a professional speaker. These were honest answers. I am hesitant to raise this issue again and lead the juror to think we think he said something wrong. The juror's answers are innocuous. We were concerned about his residency. Okay, the defense. So his residency, is he not a resident of the? Wait a minute now. Residency was resolved. This juror is diligent. Let's treat him with respect. Judge, there is no issue with qualification to serve. This juror met the qualifications at the time. It was vague enough that the answers can be reconciled. What is going on? Y'all, what is going on with this juror? So apparently he qualifies to be on the jury, but there's something about the juror has said multiple things. They cannot all be true. Additional steps should be taken to protect the record. Judge, my preference would be to run it to ground and hear from the juror. I expect we'll hear a perfectly reasonable explanation. Y'all, let's get it, Judge. But let me say, the allegation in court that the government is engaging in bias, there is no basis for that statement, not in jury selection, nor what occurred in the robing room. It is understandable that they would raise this to court. Shapiro, this is for the defense. We are concerned if we bring the juror back in for questioning, it may impact behavior during deliberations. Judge, we don't have to get into this right now. Mr. Combs, are you waiving the issue? Indicates yes. Judge, the question was, where do you live? And the answer saying Bronx was accurate. One might move, but it wouldn't raise to the level of removal a juror. Prosecution. Sure, some of the other cases are more extreme. Here, Rule 24C is operative. So, do they have an issue with where this juror lives at this point? Because because apparently, what it sounds like to me is that when he started at this hearing, when he started this, he lived in the Bronx. But it sounds like he don't live in the Bronx anymore. Where does this man live? Because as long as he lives in the Southern District, he's fine. Did he move to a different state? Is that what they're saying? Prosecution. Given where we are now, it is the government's position we should get to the bottom of this issue. We have at least one question. Does the juror's employer have a residency requirement? That might explain the answer. So it's somewhere, this juror lives somewhere that they're saying that he shouldn't be, or wherever he lives. Lord, we're going to have to get to the bottom of this. Let's finish up to this point, and then we'll go to CNN and NBC to see what they have to say. They give any context to what's going on. Prosecution. Given where we are now, it is the government's position we should get to the bottom of this issue. Oh, I read that already. Sure. This would be harassing the juror to inquire about the employer. Prosecution. I don't understand why the defense is so adverse to asking this question. I wasn't present when the juror was questioned in the robing room. Oh, so they've already talked to this juror. Judge. If we or I question him, let's do it at the end of the day. Let's bring the jury in, then the witness. Prosecution. Ms. Foster is telling the witness about the news question. Judge. Okay, break. Okay, so that's where we'll break. And we're going to see if NBC has any all right. This is what NBC is saying. U.S. District Judge Subramanian said he wants to settle the government's objections to one of the jurors, though there doesn't appear to be enough evidence yet to remove the panelist. Judge revealed that the issue could be about where the juror lives. The government earlier this week said the panelist should be removed over lack of candor. The judge, my preference would be to hear from the juror, and it's likely that we will hear a perfect innocent explanation, the judge said, adding that he wants to quickly resolve this issue. So it sounds like they have an issue about where this juror lives. Okay, that's what it sounds like. So let's read what CNN says. Judge said that there was a question of the juror's residence and confirmed that they established that he met the qualifications to be in the jury pool and lived in the jurisdiction at least at the time of the jury selection. The juror moved out of the Bronx in the last 2 weeks, the judge said. The judge said that this came up only because of a friendly banter the juror had with jury staff members who informed the court out of caution. Defense attorney said it no longer seems to be an issue and that the juror has been part of a diligent panel that has been engaged and cooperated through the trial. The judge also pushed back on a previous accusation from one of the defense attorneys this week that this was a thinly veiled threat, a veiled effort to dismiss a black juror. Okay. Defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro said further inquiry would be harassing the juror, who she said would feel singled out and picked on if he's subject to individual questioning again. Shapiro says the defense waives the issue on appeal. When Shapiro asked the judge When Shapiro suggested the judge ask Combs if he wanted to waive, Combs waved his arm and said, "Waiving, Your Honor." The judge said at, he'd like to hear more from the juror because he thinks that there'll be a perfectly innocent explanation. But said he'd think about it further. Judge said if he opts to question the jury further, he'd do it at the end of the day after the panel has been dismissed. So it looks like Sean Combs' mom is the only person that's in court today with him. And I like those little insights that they put out there. So that's what it basically is. See, I was thinking that the juror had done an interview or something to that rose to that level. But it sounds like the juror moved. And again, the prosecution is like, well, we need to just dismiss it. And I don't know. Does he, if he, as long as he still lives in the district, then I don't see a problem. But again, like I said, unless they caught him doing interviews, unless they caught him doing any of these things, we should move on. All right. All right. Juries entering, all rise. Judge, you can see we're only 50 minutes late today, so we're doing better. Okay. Prosecution. We introduce the following exhibits, and they tell you which exhibit is, all under your Honor's pseudonym order. And also to chat, I think the thing that I think, I've said this before and all my other things in regards to any of these witnesses, if any of these witnesses are coming in and the judge has written an order that they can come in under a pseudonym, aka Mia, aka Jane Doe, don't be putting in my chat who you think they are, why you think they are, or anything like that. Because again, I'm not in the courtroom, but I just don't like that. There's a reason why these people are anonymous. And even though we believe that we should know these things, there are other factors that are possibly going on that we need to give these, I appreciate these witnesses coming to court, but we also need to give them the grace. I mean, I know a lot of people feel some kind of way, particularly about this case and these witnesses and things like that. And, you want to be able to call them out and call them names and say they're this and say they're that. But that's just y'all's ego. That's just y'all thing. But legally speaking, let these people, if the judge deems that they need to have a pseudonym, that they have a pseudonym. I know a lot of people like to be contrary, and a lot of people like to be, oh, well, I don't understand. I'm going to call their name because I don't see why it's important. It's not for you to see why it's important. Because I'm quite sure if something was going on and you had a case going on and you needed that type of grace, you definitely wouldn't want any of us on here on the internet spilling out your name and all this other stuff, because be very clear, we're on social media. We don't know these people, but then again, some of you all are weird. Some of you all are weird. Some of you all will get into up under these people's social media posts and start talking crap because you're weird. Some of you all have no problem of doxing these people because you're weird. Some of you all do a whole lot of because you're weird, and you think just because you're on the internet, oh, well, I can do this. I can act any way I want to because I'm on the internet. Y'all are weird. Y'all are weird. And I don't disagree. But again, you can't be telling you tell these people what you tell these people think, hey Blue Queen TV, I've got to rewatch and see the beginning. Child. That's what it is. Because when they were called for jury duty, apparently he got the jury summons. He went in and said that's where he lived. But apparently he was in when they were back in the jury room and he was talking with the staff. So it could be one of the deputies or whoever it is that walks in and out with the jury. He made some kind of statement, something really innocuous about, oh, I live and do something, something. And they realized, hey, he's moved. Does he live in the district or not? And so they had a conversation, but they didn't go into the conversation in the prosecution once it removed. Now you got to remember, the feds have a 96% conviction rate, and they don't want that to go down. So if they could pull any type of thing to get a jury, even as innocuous as this, they'll pull it. But the problem will be, and I'm just going to tell you real quick, I think the problem will be you start pulling jurors off like this, you're gonna cause a level of animosity, and I don't think that they'd be ready for that. They did, and if he was smart, he would say that that was my security team. I don't know nothing about that. I have my guns, and the guns that I have registered in my name don't have the security number scratched off, and that could be a reason why it was wrapped up in the way it was wrapped up. Because remember, they said that that gun, that pew pew, that AR-15 was wrapped up in a towel with tape around it, and it was supposedly been in the safe. So it's wrapped up and it's in there. So technically, in my head, it's secure, and they obviously aren't using it because of the fact that it possibly had the numbers scratched off. But we'll continue. Prosecution. Before the witness comes in, we'll introduce these text messages involving Christina Coram. Let me read. Puff Music Phone 2. Make sure Robin pays her rent. KK. Robin send her rent. I guess Robin send her rent was paid. Prosecution. In the vicinity of Newark Airport, cell phone from Damian Butler. Prosecution. And this message. 3 of my doors are broken. This is crazy. D-Rock. He's coming to the house. He just texted me. I don't think it's a good idea to leave your place. That's not going to make it better. He has my key. I don't feel safe. Prosecution. The key as a blue fuzzy tail. She's reading. Just take it. D-Rock. I'm at the house. Puff is here. You know I can't take your keys from him. Judge. Thank you. Government may now call its next witness. The government calls Special Agent Andre Lamont. Oh, Andre. But let me real quick see what CNN says. About this introduction to, well, let's read this. Federal agents found 900 bottles of Astroglide and 200 bottles of baby oil when they raided the defendant's home in Los Angeles last year. The lubricants were frequently used during hotel nights when Combs directed women to have sex with other men as he watched, witnesses have testified in this trial. In a nightstand, agents also found 6 envelopes marked with K on all of them. These envelopes tested positive for ketamine. So let's continue. Prosecution. Where do you work? Answer. Homeland Security in Los Angeles in the Human Trafficking Unit. Prosecution. Do you execute search warrants? Lamont. Yes, 50 or 60 so far. Prosecution. Did you search 200 da 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 da? He says yes. Homeland Security New York asks Homeland Security LA to be involved. We executed the search warrant. Question. Here's an exhibit. Please publish it. And they give this the address. I guess they're showing the address. Question: what are these other buildings? Answer: sauna and recording studio. Question: what rooms were searched? Answer: all. Question: well, answer: it's a large property. I went through the objects that we seized, then entered them into our case management system. Prosecution: we moved to enter into evidence these exhibits. Agnophilia: objection. Then they're having a sidebar. Because remember, Agnophilia is going to be objecting because any of these things, and they found any guns, he does not want that thing to be shown. So he's going to continue to object. The judge admitted the exhibits. Prosecution: what are these? Answer: the floor plans of 200 South Mapleton. Prosecution: how do you know that they are accurate? Answer: I was there. Question: how many manila envelopes were there in the nightstand? Answer: 6. Question: what was written on them? Answer: K. Prosecution: published to the stipulation. Testing determined in the K envelope with a shamrock on it was ketamine. And it is illegal because ketamine is used for animals, correct? It's like a tranquilizer for animals. I know that they have some medicinal things, but usually no. Question: is there a safe in this closet? Answer: yes, it's gray. There in the photo. Question: what was in the safe? Answer: a passport for Sean Combs and a plastic bag with substances in it. Prosecution: stipulation at par 15-6, testing found with brown pebbles was NEMA. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, this will be recreational use. Oh, he could do that. Still, you had the assistants testified that not only did they procure drugs for Mr. Combs, but also people who was around and with Mr. Combs, friends of his. Question: what is in this bag? Answer: Johnson & Johnson's baby oil, Astroglide, and some lingerie. Question: where else were Astroglide and baby oil found? Answer: in the bathroom, in the garage. So they show the photo. Bookcase full of baby oil, drawer full of Astroglide. Baby. So they got next photo, boxes marked Astroglide, 2 dozen boxes. Prosecution: question: where were these boxes of Astroglide? Answer: in the garage. Question: overall, how much bottles of baby oil did you find? Answer: 200. Question: how many bottles of Astroglide? Answer: 900. Is it me? But don't these things have a expiration date? And then you got it sitting in an old hot garage? Wouldn't that mess up with the slip? Yeah, because it's like it knocks you out, right? In certain doses, it knocks you out. Maybe. Prosecution. Let's turn to the firearms found in the residence. What are these? Answer: a Ruger, a Glock pistol, some AR-15 platforms. Prosecution: show the photo. He shows the photo. What is this? Answer: the Smith & Wesson the Smith and Wesson rifle on the chair. Three 30-round magazines. Question. There's a 5.11 bag. Okay, that's the answer. There is a 5.11 bag. Question. What's that? Answer. Just the bag. Question. And this? Answer. Rifles and a Mossberg shotgun. Question. And this? A drum magazine, large capacity. This one was a 60 round. It has 59 rounds of green tip ammunition in it. Question. What does green tip ammunition do? Answer. It is designed to pierce body armor. I don't know what it is in California or wherever these places are, but some places that's illegal type of ammunition to have. Question. Could you go look at the boxes of firearms in the cart next to you? He does. He goes off mic. Answer. The serial numbers where they existed matched up. Prosecution. Do any of the firearms not have serial numbers? Answer. One did not. This one holds long gun up. Prosecution. How are serial numbers eliminated? Answer. Sand it off with the machine. It's smooth. Not like it was done with the screwdriver. No further questions. So they only found one gun in the Los Angeles home without a serial number? Let's continue. I know they found one in Star Island, so let's continue. Okay. Defense. You are aware that Mr. Combs has security, right? Answer, yes. Question. And every gun and piece of ammo recovered from the security office, right? Answer, yes. Question. There were no guns in the kids' bedroom. Answer, none. Was the security office door locked? Answer, not when I got there. Question. But before, isn't it important? Did it have a lock? Answer. It had a knob. Lock, I don't know. Question. You have no reason to think that the safe was open before you got there. Answer, no. Okay, what's going on? Let's go here. So is this where it ended, or did he start a new thread? Let's go back. Let's go back. Oh, so it did break. All right, so let's see where we can pick up there because it looks like the thread broke for him. So we have the, and I'm going to NBC News. I hope so. Because like I said, that stuff will break. that stuff will break down, y'all. Okay. They found the lubricants. They found the guns. Oh, there goes. He came. Kanye West came, y'all. Hold on. Let's get to where. Hold on. We fed that. Prosecution complains to judge about Combs nodding emphatically. Uh, Maureen Comey, one of the prosecutors, complained to judge that Combs was nodding as his ex-girlfriend Jane in the Homeland Security testified. Brian Steele, one of Combs' lawyers, pushed back on that character, saying the client has been nothing but professional. The judge who scolded team last week will keep an eye out. Apparently made facial special Drew told Comey it would be impossible to police everyone in the courtroom, but made it clear we'll keep an eye out on anything. All right, so now you're just being a little picky. I'm sorry, you're being real picky. So we got Ye came to the courthouse. Bystander shout, thanks for the support, Kanye, as a rapper formerly known as Kanye West. Ye confirmed to a reporter he was there to support Combs. Did he get in the courtroom? The agent said he never found large amounts of baby oil in his previous human trafficking investigation. Asked if he ever walked out of a trafficking raid with boxes of baby oil, special agent told Combs' defense, "It's only been this one." That's what I thought. Combs' defense lawyer Agnew said, perhaps insinuating that the presence of lubricants signaled consensual sex acts. Says Grammy Award-winning rapper Ye has been keeping a relatively low profile in recent weeks before making his surprise appearance at the courthouse today to show his support for Combs. Jonathan Perez, former personal assistant to Combs, took the witness stand for the prosecution. The 35-year-old native from Fort Lauderdale wore a brown suit, black shirt, and black tie. Perez worked for Combs between December 2024 and this past December, addressing his boss by several names. The witness says at different times he addressed Combs as Diddy, P. Diddy, and Mr. C-Love. And here we have Ye walked out the front doors of the federal, got into a car and was driven away. He spent about 40 minutes in the courthouse, but never made it into the courtroom to show support. Child, a photo op. A photo op, Kanye. A photo op. Did you think that you were going to be able to walk in? You were too good to go to the overflow room, huh? Why didn't you meet up with his mama last night? Y'all could have got in. Assistant testified the staff had to prepare for a king night. Combs staff would typically get between 2 and 24 hours to prepare for a king night, an evening their boss was spending in a hotel with a woman, the witness said. Food, change of clothes, condoms, lubricant, and red lights were among the items commonly packed. All right, so let's get into this because I think we got on here. Innocent press got jokes. It says, okay, so his thread was broken. Okay, now, U.S. versus Sean Day Part 2 with comments limited after many said Part 1 thread broken. He got a parenthesis by a Ye. All right, so let's continue. Prosecution, Mr. Perez, is this your text message? Jonathan Perez, yes. It's me, KK, and Joey. Prosecution. KK asks, how is the setup going? How much longer do y'all need? What did you write back? I wrote, I got fruits and shakes and will ask Jane about outfits. Then KK asked, is the room done yet? How do you respond? What store? I wrote, room is done, now going to the store. What store? Perez, adult store. Prosecution. Afterward, KK asked about cleanup of what? Perez, the room. Prosecution. How did you become aware of this video? Perez, a videographer named Brandon showed it to me. Prosecution, where did you go? I told an iPad and went to the office. Prosecution, what was on the video? Perez, Jane having intimate relations with a black man and Mr. Combs watching. Did you tell Mr. Combs? I did. I told him I found it on an iPad and it probably shouldn't be there. He seemed surprised. What did KK say? Perez, that in the future, I should bring things like that to her. I described it to her. Did you speak with her about it again? Perez, KK says she had gotten a call from someone outside the company talking about the video in some capacity. Prosecution, did you record that conversation? Perez, no. Were you aware it was recorded? No. Prosecution, show the stipulation seizure of Christina Quorum's cell phone. We offered the audio and transcripts. Oh, so they played it. Oh, so she taping stuff. Mm. Whose voice did you hear? Mr. Perez. He answers KK. And then they play an audio of KK. Both time, the only person at the house who knew about was you. Audio of KK. Where did you find it? Perez. Brandon the shooter. Prosecution. Was that you? What that you? Perez. Yes. And he's the videographer. Perez. Brandon was like, something is on the iPad I shouldn't see. Something KK was there. Anyone else in the theater? Perez. Maybe Gio. Audio. KK. We have camera footage who was in the house. Perez. I went to PD about it. Said you can delete it. He said okay and deleted it. Then I told you. KK. Did you hear anyone else in the house talk about it? Did anyone else bring it up again? Perez. No. Audio of Perez. Rob talked about it, but he said he didn't want to see it. Prosecution. Why did you not want to delete it? Perez. It wasn't my role. Makes sense to me. Because I don't want to delete nothing and people say that I was trying to get rid of evidence. Audio. And on this audio, we hear Perez say, there should be an investigation. Mr. Combs thought he might be compromised in some ways. His phone data. Prosecution. Let's pull up the next one for the jury. So then we have an audio of Perez. I told Rob I found something private on the iPad. He said he didn't want to know. KK. Was anyone else in the theater except you all and Gio? Perez. No. Was Chef K in the theater? Perez. Yes. Prosecution. Why didn't you say Chef K was there? Perez. I just wanted to minimize things. Prosecution. Did anyone ask you again? Perez. Yes, Fahim did. Now, Fahim is supposed to be his head of security, right? Asked me what happened when I found the video of Jane. Prosecution. Are you aware of how Fahim knew? No. Answer. No. So then they take another break. I think we might be caught up, y'all. I think we got another break in the thread because all of this happened an hour ago. Here we go. Brian's okay. Here we go. Before we start, let's go see what NBC has to say. Okay, so we are almost caught up. So let's see what CNN has to say about all of this. All right. Jury hears text messages between Combs and Stafford and between Ventura and Guard. In front of the jury, but before Homeland Security investigators, Special Agent Andre Lamont took the stand, prosecutor read aloud some text messages because I wanted to hear about this. According to this reading, Sean Diddy Combs texted his then chief of staff, Christina Quorum, on November 23rd, 2023, saying, in part, quote, make sure Robin is not doing anything dumb, like not having that rent paid on time. Can you make sure she paid for this month, please? According to previous testimony, Robin was Combs' accountant, and Jane, who dated Combs from 2021 to 2024, testified in this case under a pseudonym and is identified as a victim in the Combs indictment, said Robin handled the rent for her home. Testimony has indicated that Combs paid for Jane's rent for a Los Angeles home from 2023 to present. Quorum responded, according to the message read today, Robin said her rent was paid. Timing context. The text to Quorum was sent 5 days after former Combs' girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, accused him in a federal lawsuit of R and years of abuse. That lawsuit was settled a day after it was filed. Another message chain read today was between Ventura and D-Rock. Okay, so there were two separate testings, so everything wasn't just Christina talking to one person. So now we got Cassie talking to D-Rock on one of the security guards in January 2017. And it says, quote, my bathroom door is broken down. He's blaming me for going to someone else's house when I pulled over to see if I was being followed, and I was. Ventura, who dated Combs from 2007 to 2018, texted D-Rock, quote, he has my key, so I'm leaving. I do not feel safe. I'm not effing with anyone else. She later messaged him that 3 of her doors were broken. Quote, you know I can't take your keys from him, D-Rock said in a later message. He is here, you are there. I think the best thing for now. I think it's the best thing for now, okay. Okay, so they do talk about the ketamine. And the jury gets to see all the items recovered from his home. We talk about the body piercing ammunition. They do specify that it was testified that all the guns and all the ammunition was found only in the security room. So basically, all of that was secure, and it is reasonable to believe that the security guards were the only one that had access to that information, those firearms. All right, listen to this. Special Agent Andre Lamont testified that a special response team cleared Diddy's home first to make sure that it was safe for other agents to enter during the March 2024 raid. He said that the team's sole purpose upon entering the location is to look for people or if they encounter weapons to make sure that the weapons are safe. secured. He said that the team does not typically take photos of items on the property. Because of that, Lamont said he did not know if the guns were found inside the firearm safe, if the safe was locked, or if the doors to the security room was locked when agents first arrived at the home. Oh, so he was directed to the overflow room. And you know he didn't stay in there long. And if y'all see me look up, because I'm doing two things at one time, I'm watching the Karen Reed case closing remarks, and now the judge is reading the jury instructions. And they were confusing last time, and it looks like they are possibly just as confusing as they were before. While the jury was on break, prosecutor Maureen Comey brought up an issue with the judge. During the defense's cross-examination of Special Agent Andre Lamont, Combs was nodding emphatically, and he was also nodding during some of Jane's cross-examination earlier this week. And I'm just now confused about this. I mean, about the nodding. I mean, do they want him just to sit like this, or is he nodding? Is he talking to his attorney? Then he's nodding. He's doing this, or is he sitting there looking at the person like this? I'm confused about what the emphasis about the nodding. I know that the judge got on to him about nodding to the jury or smiling and interacting with the jury, but now it just seems like nitpicking. Even if Combe is not looking directly at the jury, he still should not be nodding like that, Comey said. Defense attorney Brian Steele said Combe hasn't been looking at the jury and has been acting professionally. Mr. Combs did nothing inappropriate at all today or any day, actually, Steele said. Judge referenced a discussion the lawyers had last week after the judge said he saw Combs looking at the jury and nodding. The judge said he believed both sides have since made the boundaries clear to their respective teams. There's going to be some amount of reaction to testimony that is given, and it is impossible to police every reaction from every person in this courtroom, which is true. So you all are just sitting over there looking at him like this, and he goes like this, and they go, Judge! He's nodding, he's moving, he's doing all of these things. The judge reiterated that efforts to communicate with or influence the jury will not be allowed. So I'm sorry, if he's not looking at the jury, let me see where I see this. He's dead looking at the jury and shaking his head. Okay. I know he did that last week, but they're saying that he's just over there nodding now. That's what I'm reading here. But if he's not looking at the jury and he's like, how giving them eye contact and throwing, if he's not doing that, leave him alone over there. Is what I'm saying. I mean, because it just, I guess for me, it just interrupts the court flow. And at this point, it seems a little vindictive is not the word. It's almost like you're trying to police everything. And I just, I understand decorum in a courtroom. Don't get me wrong. Because, I've served on juries and I've done all this. But, I've served on juries where the defendant has looked at us. He hasn't, it's just like he looks to look at our reactions to something. And then he'll go back and he'll talk to his lawyer or something like that. I've never been in a place where the defendant can't look over at the jury and because I've been there and I've seen the defendant look at us to see our reaction, particularly if we were looking at exhibits or if something came across the thing, I've seen, looking out, he'd look up like this, and that's why I'm saying I've been in courtrooms and I don't know if that's an intimidation factor or not. I have not been in a courtroom. I have not sat as a juror, and I've sat 4 times as a juror. I've not sat in a juror where I felt like the defendant was looking at me and being intimidated. Well, let's continue. This gives more clarity. So let me backtrack. It says Comey clarified that she was not seeking a curative instruction or suggestion Combs be removed from the courtroom, but thought that it was inappropriate for Combs to be nodding emphatically while his attorney is asking witness a yes or no question. Gotcha. I can understand that. Give me one moment because it'll get out of hand real quick if I don't pull up my docs. Um, Sorry, it'll get out of hand real quick if I don't update my doc to show who's testifying. Because if I let too long to go by, I won't be able to keep up. So all right. So we have Jonathan Perez, a former personal assistant to Sean Combs, on the stand now. He worked with Combs between so so he basically worked with Sean Diddy Combs when Jane Doe was the girlfriend. Perez is going to testify under an immunity order. So it looks like everybody has immunity to testify because everybody seems like they were doing something illegal. And you all say, what were they doing illegal? If they were transporting the mood enhancers from one place or another, and certain mood enhancers are illegal, that's illegal. Excuse me. This is the okay. He's going to testify under immunity outside the presence of the jury. He invoked the Fifth Amendment, triggering an immunity order. Fine. This is the fourth witness to do so. So we've got let's continue. No, Kanye West didn't stay there long enough to cuss a cat. They say Kanye, child, let me get over here. They say Kanye was only in there for they say Kanye was only there for 40 minutes in the overflow room. So it says here, let me let y'all see. Ye caught a few minutes of Perez's testimony in the overflow room on the 23rd floor. He and Combs' son Christian were close to the monitor, and Ye removed his glasses, a local reporter said, to follow along with Perez describing his job with Combs. Ye left without speaking to anyone else gathered in the room. So he only stayed 40 minutes. I think if he'd have showed up yesterday, all right. So y'all, we have caught up a little bit. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a really quick break. Give me about 5 minutes, and I'll leave you all with some tunes. Let's see what song I want to leave y'all with. So I will be right back, y'all. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Guess I'm gonna have to get an intermission type thing going on. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go. So I guess Christian Combs went with him just to show or be able to tell his dad that he was there. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so we are here. All right. So here's where we left off. Defense. It's my affirmation Mr. Combs has done nothing inappropriate. Judge, all right. Very good. We have an exchange about this a few days ago. There's going to be some amount of reaction to testimony given. It's impossible to police all of that. So they're talking about the so we're talking about Perez. That's where we left off. The question was, would you make purchases at the X store? Answer, yes. Prosecution. Would staff do cleanup after the King nights? So it's called the freak off, the King nights, the hotel nights, and the debauchery nights. Perez. Yes, I did. It was in disarray, sheets and towels and oils. We would go collect everything. After the King night, a meal and a drip. All right. So it looks like here's the pickup, but he's off the stand now. But I do want to. So this was earlier today. It says, Agent Long, we brought a locksmith, but I didn't see him touch that safe. Agnefield, we're in Manhattan. We don't know a lot about guns. Sorry, Judge, withdrawn. Agnefield, this was a gun safe. Lamont, designed for that. Why not photo of opening it? Let's see if there's a. Let's see if something's else in here. Sorry, y'all, but the thread is all over the place, and I'm just trying to recover. And then it breaks again. Okay. Okay. So it looks like, all right. I think we found it. All right. So this is before the jury came in. It says, uh, so defense attorney Donaldson says, Your Honor wanted us to address juror number 6. Judge, we could do that at another time. Prosecution. After Mr. Perez, we have exhibits to introduce so we can get to our summary charts. So we can get our summary charts together over the weekend. All right. So, Mr. Perez, were you subpoenaed and do you have an immunity agreement? Perez, yes. Prosecution, let me show you this. What is this? Answer, Mr. Combs' Gucci pouch. Prosecution, what was in the Gucci pouch? Answer, drugs and money. Prosecution, now, some text. Between whom? Perez, me and Rob. Prosecution, Rob says, will you locate his Gucci pouch in his bathroom? What did you say? Perez, I texted. There was no residue and I didn't steal any Addy, LOL. Meaning what? Adderall. Prosecution, as part of your employment, did you have any role in obtaining mood enhancers? Answer, a handful of times. I'd purchase or grab them from someone outside. Prosecution, who were you getting the mood enhancers for? Answer, Mr. Combs. Which ones? Cocaine, Xanax, and Molly. Prosecution, how did you pay for the drugs? Answer, cash. Prosecution, where did you get the cash? Answer, security or the Gucci pouch. Prosecution, who in security? Answer, Fahim. Prosecution, what did your text say here? I texted Fa, I need $700 for Guido for the mood enhancers. Oh, Guido. Woo. Oh, Guido. Prosecution, and this text? Answer, I texted, I'm still waiting for funds from TriStar, Mr. Combs' business managers. Prosecution, who did you interact with at TriStar? Answer, Robin Greenhill. Prosecution, did you get a FaceTime from Mr. Combs from Jane's house? Answer, yes. Answer, yes. I dropped him at Jane's house with his supplies. Then he called me a couple of hours later. How did Mr. Combs appear in the FaceTime? Answer, angry and annoyed. Prosecution, could you see Jane's face? Perez, no, she was turned away. Prosecution, what did Mr. Combs ask? Answer, for me to say if there had been another female on a trip we had been on. I said no. Had there been? No. Prosecution, how did you react during this FaceTime? Answer, pretty normal, I thought. Prosecution, what did you what did you do? Answer, I told Fahim and KK that Mr. Combs was arguing with his guest and that I was going to pick him up. What is this? Answer, message between me, Fahim, and Mr. Combs, June 20th, 2024. I wrote, need cash for his guest ASAP. You know, from listening to all that testimony from Jane about her house, her house, her house, it's interesting to see how the people that worked for Diddy didn't think that that was her house. That's Mr. Combs over there with his guest. And she was a guest. And she didn't realize that she was a guest. Smizer, do you know what the money was for? Perez, no. Prosecution, why did you leave working for Mr. Combs? Answer, to avoid a situation like this. He said he didn't want to get caught up. Prosecution, how do you feel about Mr. Combs? Answer, great. The same way as when I worked there. Prosecution, no further questions. All right. So we're caught up and we will wait. Let's see what NBC and let's see what so according to NBC, the defendant kept cash, cocaine, ketamine, Adderall, Xanax, and Molly in a Gucci pouch, Perez said. That bag was a must have for Combs when he traveled for the King Nights, the witness said. So they have not updated. So we are completely caught up. So caught up on your comments. So wherever you are, please hit that like button. Also, please hit that if we're over here on Twitch, send a bit. And on X, if you will go ahead and make sure that you heart my live stream, I really appreciate it. So I will tell you, and you all let me know if this is what you feel. Because as I'm looking at who's on the stand and what they're on the stand for, y'all, this is just quite repetitive. Because you remember the first day we had the special agent, then an assistant, then we had a special agent, then an assistant. And it seems like we just keep doing that whole thing. It's almost to the point that I wish that all the special agents would have come up to the at the beginning, because I don't see. Do y'all see what I'm talking about? It's like we're repeating. The prosecution is repeating the same stuff. We understand that there were drugs, but I guess maybe they're talking about different time frames. But still, I think that you could have subpoenaed all of these people at the same time to discuss the different time frames, because we have David James, who worked from 2007 to 2009. Then we have George Kaplan, that worked from 2013 to 2015. We have Capricorn Clark, that worked from like 2004 to 2015. We had Nia. And now we have Mr. Perez. And there's nothing, actually anything new that they're giving us. There's nothing, there's no information that I could say that's new that they're giving us. We knew about the pouch. We knew about the pouch. We knew about the, the guns. Just updating my list. All right. Let's see where they are. All right. Catch you soon. Yes, everyone hit that like button. Have a great weekend. All right, so we got a new update on NBC. Says here, according to NBC, it says here that Perez testified that buying mood enhancers for Combs was an element of the job. The witness said that he get cash from Combs' top security, Fahim Muhammad, in order to secure the cocaine Zalix Abanu. He testified Muhammad would submit receipts for the money he used to buy these drugs. Paper trail number one. Let's see if they talked about these receipts in inner city press. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right. It says Combs kept a Gucci pouch filled with drugs, money, and money. Prosecutor Madison Smizer showed the jury a photo of a Gucci pouch. Jonathan Perez, a former assistant of Sean Diddy Combs, said the pouch belonged to Combs and it was typically filled with mood enhancers and money. Combs always had it with him during the King's night, Perez also confirmed. The jury saw messages between Perez and another assistant from July 2022. In the messages, the other assistant told Perez to look for the Gucci pouch in the bathroom, and if anything was outside it, to put it back in. And then he texts back, I zipped it up, no residue, and I didn't steal one addy. Perez texts back. He testified that meant that there were no drug residue around the pouch and he didn't steal any Adderall from it. In other messages between Perez and other assistants in October 2022, Perez said that cocaine was found in a different bag and that it should never leave the Gucci pouch. Interesting. He talks about getting mood enhancers for Combs and payment. Jonathan Perez, assistant to Sean Diddy Combs from 2021 to 2024, testified that he obtained mood enhancers for Combs a handful of times. He procured Xanax, cocaine, Molly from someone named Guido and Baby Girl. Baby Girl. Wonder who Baby Girl is. So now we have One Stop, Guido, and Baby Girl as the people that they use to procure their mood enhancers from. And again, I'm reading from CNN. Perez testified that he would pay for those drugs with cash that he got from either Combs security personnel, the Gucci pouch, or a top drawer. The jury saw a message that, according to prosecutors, Perez sent one of Combs' security guards, Fahim, in February 2024. Perez said that he usually handled the cash for Combs. In the message, Perez said in part, 700 went to Guido. And I've told you all time and time again, because people talk and say like, oh, well, there's, he's a businessman. He's a businessman. He doesn't have time to do all this stuff. He don't have time to settle this up. He doesn't have to. Again, he has competent assistants. He's got a competent security that procures all this stuff. They set up everything. He just needs to show up. How does he have time? Obviously, he does. Anytime that he's going anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, he's made time for it. Says here, okay, so he says Perez said he got a call from Combs on night of 2024 altercation. Perez, former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs, testified that he dropped off items at Jane's house to set her up for a King's night with Combs, and then later dropped off Combs. A few hours later, Combs called him on the FaceTime and seemed angry and annoyed, and his voice was raised, Perez said. He was asking me to confirm whether or not another female had been on a trip we went on the week prior, Perez says. Perez told Combs no, and Combs thanked him before hanging up. Perez testified he saw Jane on the call, but her back was to the camera, so he never saw her face and she didn't speak. The call lasted about 20 seconds, he said. The jury saw messages between Perez, Combs, and then Chief of Staff Christina Quorum and Combs security guard Fahim during the June 2018-2024 incident. So this was the incident, I guess, when Jane said that her and Puffy were fighting, physically fighting. Heads up, him and Guest are fighting. I'm about to head back and pick him up, Perez texted them. Perez also told Fahim that Combs wanted him to bring cash. In a separate group message with Combs, Fahim and Perez said, need 3,500 ASAP for his guest. I'm going to take it to her. Perez testified that he was referring to Jane in the message. Remember, Jane, who dated Combs from 2021 to 2024 and testified in this trial under pseudonym, testified extensively that she was in a major altercation with Combs at Jane's rented Los Angeles home on the night that Perez just testified about. Former assistant said the last time he talked to Combs was the day that the rapper was arrested. Prosecutor Madison Smizer asked Jonathan Perez why he stopped working for Sean Diddy Combs in September 2024. There was a lot going on personally for Mr. Combs, and there wasn't a lot of communication about what was happening. So I thought it was a good time to leave to hopefully avoid situations like this, Perez said. He testified the last time he talked to Combs was the day the music mogul was arrested. Smizer asked Perez how he feels about Mr. Combs. He says, I feel great about it. The same way I felt when I was leaving my employment, Perez responded. So then we got Brian Steele with the thing. So hopefully we've got enough that we can go back to Inner City Press and see where they are. All right, here we go. Judge, Mr. Steele, defense. Mr. Combs is a motivator, yes? Answer, he is. Defense, have you ever seen Mr. Combs cry? Let me show you something. Give me 1 second. Your Honor, may I hand him a book? Judge, you may. Steele, 3605 3600 material. That must be the exhibit. Perez, I can't remember if he was crying, but this does remind me that he was upset. Defense, look again. Answer, it does not refresh. Defense, okay. You said there was a lot going on. Do you remember the March searches? Answer, yes. You saw the news? Answer, yes. Question, have you been in the bedroom at 2 Star? Answer, yes. Defense, Did you ever see any guns there? Answer, no. Did you ever see him with firearms? Answer, never. I only saw security with him. Now, he probably did not see him with it. This is good questioning, but also we have to remember in 2015, as Ed Kaplan testified, Diddy changed his security. Because prior to that, Diddy was carrying. People said that he was carrying. But after 2015, his security team was the only one that carried. Diddy no longer carried any weapons. He hired a totally different, he hired a security firm, and he still had D-Rock, but he added Fahim. Fahim was added. And we know about Fahim from Little Rod's lawsuit. Still, because he's a man of note, right? Perez, yes. I don't know what that means. Is that a man of what does a man of note mean? Is that some kind of thing, or what you think he was meaning notoriety? Possibly. Defense. He's a man respected in many fields. Prosecution. Objection. Still. I'll ask this. You have worked with other celebrities. Answer. Yes. And many of them have security, right? Answer. They do. Defense. You mentioned Jane. She was nice to you? Answer. Yes. You called Keen nights personal time, right? Answer. Yes. Mr. Combs worked long hours, right? Yes. Defense. Because you worked out of his home, sometimes business and personal got mixed. Answer. Correct. Defense. Setting up a King's night, was that business or personal? Answer. Personal. And buying drugs, I'm not saying you did it often. That was personal, right? Answer. Right. Defense. And buying lingerie for Jane, personal? Answer. Personal. Still. Did James always appear to you to be a willing participant in the King's night? Prosecution. Objection. And the judge overruled it. Perez. Yes, always. Still. A small amount of drugs, personal use? Objection. Judge. That's sustained. Now, if they wanted to get away from that, when the if they wanted to get away from that, they should have not only they should have categorized, they should have asked how many pills he had of each one of those things, how many ounces of whatever it was, all of this stuff, and juxtaposed that against what does the feds consider to be to sell it. All right. So I looked up, and let me share this tab because I like to share. So I looked this up. I asked them, in federal court system, a person can be charged with trafficking of the mood enhancers based on the quantity of controlled substance involved. The specific amounts considered sufficient for a federal tracking charge vary depending on the type of drug. And these are the thresholds. So they talk about dealing, because they found that on him, he would have to have 5 kilograms of more to be considered a dealer. The methamphetamines, 50 grams or more, 1,000 kilograms of the Mary Jane, 10 grams of the LSD, 100 grams or more of fentanyl, 400 grams. So let's look at this because they were talking about. It says that these are just quantities that can trigger a federal trafficking. The penalties can vary depending on the specific amount. Federal law also has mandatory minimum sentence for drug trafficking. It is possible to it is possible to be charged even with smaller amount of drugs if there's evidence of intent to distribute or other related criminal activities. Feds also follow for conspiracy charges, meaning you can be charged with trafficking even if you never directly handled or possessed the drugs, but were part of an agreement to traffic. Interesting. Interesting. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we're looking at. Perez agreed that setting up King's Night and purchasing drugs should be classified as personal instead of work related. He confirmed that it had nothing to do with his work and he didn't believe he was getting paid to do those things. You're his assistant. You are getting paid to do those things, whether you believed it or not. Because again, if it was outside your job description, you would have said so. So apparently it was in your job description. Okay, let's continue. Perez, a former assistant, confirmed that he would help Jane pick out lingerie, heels, and dresses for her. Jane trusted Perez with his opinion of what to buy. Steele asked Perez if Jane ever appeared hesitant to go on a king night, and he said no. And that is to say or to corroborate that, hey, she was a willing participant. She wasn't coerced, as far as he knew. Steele also asked for okay. He also confirmed that when asked that Jane never seemed upset or unhappy after a king night. Ex-assistant spent 1% of his employment on Combs' personal matter, he estimated. Defense attorney Brian Steele turned to previous testimony about a staffer finding an iPad at Combs' Los Angeles home. Steele asked Perez if the concern about the video centered on the fact that a personal private tape was on a business iPad, and Perez agreed. Perez estimated that he spent about 1% of his time working for Combs dealing with personal matters like setting up for King's Night and obtaining the mood enhancers. So again, I don't know who's that waiting for, but in my head, as the alternate juror, so that goes back to me again. I've said it before. One of the things that people have prided themselves on is that they are competent assistants for Sean Diddy Combs. You have to be competent. And so what so I don't know how this is working for the defense. So again, that tells me that if he's got competent people and they spend 90% of their 99% of their time doing business things for Sean Combs, then he would have the amount of time that he had for the freak offs and entertaining other folk. Let's see what Inner City Press is doing. All right. Can you estimate percentages of your work in business person? I say personal was 1%. Question. Mr. Combs needed help connecting to Bluetooth? Yes. Question. He was not very high tech? Answer. He was not. Dog. He really wasn't high tech if he couldn't connect to Bluetooth. And you know, I'm at the bottom barrel of technology, and I can connect. Oh my goodness. All right. Question. Mr. Combs was working on the album very hard, right? Answer. Yes. Question. You said KK and Mr. Combs were close, right? Answer. Yes. Question. But you're not saying it was intimate, sexual. I am not, was the answer. Question. The argument you saw on FaceTime, it was a verbal argument, not a physical as you saw it, right? Answer. Right. Question. You learned it was about jealousy? Answer. Yes. Question. Jane was very jealous? Prosecution. Objection. Judge sustained. Question. You're about the same age as Jane? Answer. Yes. Was Jane a strong, independent woman? Answer. Yes. Question. You made purchases in stores with the company credit card? Answer. I did. But you don't know if Mr. Combs paid? Answer. I don't. Question. The hotel was put in your name. You had to go in and set up the room, right? Answer. Yes. Question. And if the room was registered as Sean Combs, there might be a camera outside, right? Answer. Yes. No, answer right. All right. And again, everyone is talking about. So Kanye came in all white. Yeah. Interesting. So there's Kanye in all of his glory. So now we realize we have found out that you love to do your version of freak offs. Interesting, interesting, interesting. What time is it? So that's two. It's going on 3 o'clock. I don't know what I was expecting to do. So they're in the middle of a sidebar, y'all. So while they're doing a sidebar, I'm going to take the briefest of breaks. What I'd like for you all to do to make sure you hit that heart button here in X. Also, make sure you hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. I am going to. It's going to be maybe like 2 or 3 minutes since they're at a sidebar. So if y'all need to get up, stretch your legs, do whatever. I'm just going to leave a little bit of music. All right, all right, all right. We're back. Yes, we are. Hopefully, they have trudged along a little bit. So, what do you all think about Mr. Steele's cross examination so far? How do you think he's doing so far? Because I'm getting the feeling like he's almost helping the prosecution a little bit. I'm getting that notion that he's helping the prosecution. All right. Let's see if they come back from sidebar. Doesn't look like they've come back from sidebar. All right, so CNN reports that former assistant Combs never told me not to talk about King's Night. Jonathan Perez confirmed that. Haven't you noticed? Is it just me? Uh-oh. What's hold on, y'all. Hold on.
The alternates cannot talk about the verdict, not the verdict, the case. They still have to stay undisturbed. Hopefully, they let them bring a book, so they have to go sit somewhere and wait while the rest of the jurors go back and deliberate. So the other jurors get to talk all about it, and the alternates have to wait. It would be so annoying. They probably can't have a laptop or social media. They would need to have a book, like a physical one. I said I thought the defense might argue again over the verdict slip. The defense is going to argue again over the verdict slip. I'm not.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm watching two trials at the same time. My apologies, my apologies, my apologies. I saw movement and didn't understand what was going on. Okay. Jonathan Perez confirmed that Sean Diddy Combs and the people close to the rapper never told him not to speak about things such as the King's Night or the mood enhancers. The former assistant confirmed that they only told him to tell the truth. Perez also confirmed that he never saw Combs strike a woman or anything else. But anyway, I was asking, is it just me? But as Diddy moves through his different personas, he was Puff Daddy, and then he became P. Diddy, then he became Diddy, then he became Brother Love. Haven't you noticed that through whatever iteration that he comes through, that it starts off as a freak off when he was Puffy. It's a hotel night. I don't know what it was with the other women. So I'm assuming it was hotel nights, goes from freak offs to probably debauchery nights, probably the King's night. It's probably King's night now, but it goes through different iterations as he changes personas. Oh, child. So they might still be at sidebar because I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, they're still at a sidebar. And we'll see if anything comes back out. Let's see if NBC has anything to add. I am curious about where the prosecution believes it's going to go because we still have they say that they're going to be finished by Wednesday. And when they come back, so they said that they'll be finished by Wednesday. So that means we've got Monday, Tuesday. So do you think we're going to get KK? You think that she's going to come back in Monday or Tuesday? Because we don't have the bigger players like the security people, like KK. We don't have any of those people that have testified. And I think that those people that you're going to have to, one of them at least to answer some of this stuff. And then they said that they're on track to be finished by Wednesday. And so Thursday is a holiday, it's a federal holiday. And then on the 20th, they're only going to work a half a day. So that means that on the 20th, they're going to work a half a day. That's when the defense is going to start mounting their defense. And they said that they have at least one, so that they have 2 weeks of defense to mount because the judge wants the case to go to the jury on July 3rd so that they can be deliberating from July 7th until they finish. And maybe the defense is only going to call a couple of witnesses. And if they finish, just interesting. I think that the prosecution is going to have to they're going to have to step it up. They're going to have to bring those people that's going to tie all of that stuff in, because all you're showing me is that the assistants who are they're going to procure the stuff for him, fine, but we need to figure out where that money is coming from. And once we figure out where the money is coming from, because again, where is he getting the cash from? Are they withdrawing the cash from his personal account, or are they withdrawing the cash from his business accounts? Where are they drawing the cash from? The prosecution is going to have to make sure we understand that information. Because if that cash that he's paying for Jane Doe's place is coming out of his personal account, is he using his enterprise? There is no movement. It is 3:11. Let's see if we refresh. All right. Judge, you may proceed, but without showing this exhibit to the public in the gallery. Steele, defense. So, Mr. Perez, make sure all the screens are turned off. They were and are. These are between you and Jane. What did you say to her? Answer. I was setting up a King's night. She was telling me what to get. She's cooperating in setting it up. Here, the chief says he's making her avocado toast. She's asked for hot tea and honey to go with heart emojis, and you replied, I loved it. And you wrote, I wrote, have a good flight and dinner. I want photos of you voluntary in the game. So they've got, oh, so he's got copies of her cross. I wonder, is that being shared anywhere? So if he has testimony, I'll let you all read that. Ex-assistant doesn't know where the charges for Combs' personal items were paid off with company funds, he says. Testimony has come back to Jonathan Perez's previous disclosure in a court that he sometimes used his company card to buy personal items for Sean Diddy Combs, like outfits for Jane. Perez, an assistant to Combs from late 2021 to 2024, testified that he doesn't know whether these charges on the card were paid off with company funds or with Combs' personal funds. And so that's what we need. So we're clearly, the prosecution is clearly going to have to put the accountant or somebody on to show how monies were paid from what account. Let's see what's going on. There is no movement, y'all, so we're just waiting. All right. Defense. Steele. She wrote to you. She's looking for smoke, and you wrote coming. Perez. Yes. Your Honor, I don't have any further question. So Ms. Meiser comes up and says, was getting things for Jane part of your job? He answers, yes. So while we are waiting, let's go to Inner City Press's profile because I know he did a couple
of U.S. versus Sean Combs here in the Southern District. This is the street just off to the side, but it seems like a good time to say the big news of the day apparently was the arrival of Kanye West at the trial. He appeared mid-morning in a white jacket and white pants. It caused a lot of consternation. There was a lot of security suddenly in the courthouse. People were told, what they could and couldn't do. He was taken up to the overflow room. He didn't stay long, frankly. Might have been better for him to come yesterday. And those who read Inner City Press online or the forthcoming book of week 5 will know why that is. But he did show up, and I heard somebody mumbling that he might come back Monday. I don't know. We'll have to see. He made his appearance. But on the stand now, there was a special agent who searched the house in Los Angeles, found cases of Astroglide and guns. Now, Mark Agnifilo said the guns were all in a safe, and they should have had the agent that actually took them out of the safe come. But that agent didn't come. So this agent testified, and Agnifilo hammered it home that these guns were in a safe. And he said it's not clear to him how they're even relevant if the guns were legal. One had the serial number filed off. That's sure to come up at closing. But then Jonathan Perez, correct, he'll be cross-examined too. This might be the rest of the day, in fact. He was a personal assistant. He was working in both Los Angeles and Miami. The main focus so far is that he stumbled upon on an iPad video of the witness known as Jane having sex with someone, not Mr. Combs, and Mr. Combs present and watching. Now, when he found this, he says he took it to Mr. Combs, who deleted it, but then sometime thereafter, Christina Karam, who has not yet appeared in this trial, but has been mentioned very many times, Christina Karam interviewed and kind of interrogated him about who else had seen the video, was he the source, because they started being blackmailed about the video. So I don't see where they're going yet, but it's interesting, and it harkens back to, I think it was Capricorn Clark, who was hooked up to a lie detector machine in an empty office on Broadway with security of Combs. So this is a pattern. They're showing a pattern of a kind of roguelike organization. It's crazy. This guy wanted to be a personal assistant to Sean Combs. The next thing you know, he's setting up hotel rooms with Astroglide and getting cross-examined about these weird freak-off videos. So be careful the job that you wish for. In any event, we're going back in, and Book 5 is well along. We've actually prepared a lot of it, but today's will go in. There's a thread. I think Ye broke the internet or at least he broke the threads of Inner City Press, because a lot of complaints came in that that people couldn't find the newest message. I couldn't even load the newest message. So I started a new thread with comments limited. May go back to the normal in the afternoon now that Ye has arrived. One way or another, they'll all be in Book 5, which should be out later today, believe it or not. That's how it works. Inner City Press, we're going back in.
All right, so we just heard from Inner City Press. Trying to figure out if we can kind of just Great. So we got some more. Testimony. All right. So let's read. Did you ever set up King's Night on vacation? Answer, no. Prosecution. Can we turn the public screen back on? Thank you. This item, new hookah, is that personal? Answer, not necessarily. And the baby oil? Personal. Prosecution, part of your job? Answer, yes. So it looks like that was the end of her cross, and then they redirected a recross. Still, it was TriStar which designated the payments, not you, right? Answer, right. Nothing further. Judge, let me see the attorneys at sidebar. So they're at another sidebar, y'all. And so it is almost 3:30 there, and they usually go to 4. So they usually go to 4 o'clock. So what we will do until they come back with any more information. So what we will do, this is my Black Panther shirt, y'all. We'll go ahead and take our last and final break of the day. While we were waiting for everyone to come back with some information, I did a stream break. So enjoy that with this little music, and I'll be back probably in 3 minutes. All right, y'all. Just got notification. that the jury has been dismissed for the day. So our stream is going to end. Now I am reviewing cha. Let me see. So the stream is over. We're going to be back here again Monday. I'm back on track. The testimony from drained me. So we will be back on track, and we will be back on our regular computer. So I don't look all faded and ghostly. I look like a ghost. So anyway, we'll be back on our regular computer, and we will definitely be going over this. I will start. Again, I hate to always butt up and we have so much downtime. But I will do a couple of some more stream breaks so that you all can have something else to look at. And I'll pull up some more music. So we'll have that, but we should have very brief of those. I'm back on my schedule, coming back between 12 and 12:30, depending on how much stuff that they have going on in the morning time. So that I like to start at lunch and start with the morning testimony, so that by the time that they come off of lunch, they would start, and they should be like an hour ahead of us, so that we won't have to have all those many stops and starts and stops and starts. All right, people. I will see you all on Monday. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, the prosecution said that they're going to be done on Wednesday. What are we expecting to see on Monday? Now, here's the things I'm expecting to see within these 3 days. I'm expecting to see the money person, whether it's an accountant or we need to see all of that. We need to see all of those financial pieces to this, because that's important. Where did they get the cash from? Was the cash being pulled from his personal accounts, or was the cash being pulled from his professional accounts? And if if these things were being pulled, was he reimbursing the account? We need to know all of that information, because to me, that's part of this particular iteration of RICO. We need to see the financials. We need to get that information in. We need to hear from KK. We also need to hear from one of the security guards. Fahim, D-Rock, we need to hear from one of the security guards. Because I don't think again, the prosecution has given us all of these puzzle pieces, but they have not put the puzzle, the pieces where they need to go in the puzzle. So we have all the pieces, but it's their job to give us those, to put the puzzle together so we can see it. And I don't think that we're there yet, but they have 3 days to do it. I think they spent an unnecessary amount of time on Jane. I just think that they spent too much unnecessary time about Jane. And I'm starting to see what they were doing, because I asked the question earlier. It's like, what is the prosecution? Do they have all these? Why didn't they put them all together? I think that they were putting people together in the time frame in which, so in other words, so you have all the people who were there around Cassie, they put them together. So you had the David Jameses, you had the escorts that were there for them. They had all of those people. I don't know if we've heard an escort coming for Jane, but we did hear the ones that came for Cassie, but I don't hear about the ones that came for Jane. Let me make sure. do some more printing. Yeah, we haven't heard from an escort from her era. But we did hear Derek Ferguson. He was a chief financial operator, but he wasn't the accountant. We need to hear from Robin. We need to hear from Robin, who's the accountant. She's the one with all the money. She's the money person. She is the money person. We need to hear from her. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.